समन्ता चक्रवालेषु अत्रा गच्छन्तु देवता सद्धम्मं मुनिराजस्य सुनन्तु सग्गमोक्खदम् धम्मश्रवण कालो अयं बदन्ता धम्मश्रवण कालो अयं बदन्ता धम्मश्रवण कालो अयं बदन्ता नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स मेत्ताय भिक्खवे भाविता बहुलीकता महतो अत्ताय संवदन्ति. Homage to the exalted one, the worthy one, the perfectly enlightened one. Okay, dear friends in the Dhamma, today we are going to explain 4 sublime states of mind. This is one of the main topics that comes in Buddhism. I think all of you have heard before about this theme. 4 sublime states of mind. You know, there are some kind of realms, birth states in the universe according to Buddhism. Lower realm, human realm, heavenly realm, Brahma realms. There are several kind of realms where the beings are born. Actually, we can see only animal realm, but it doesn't sound that there are no other beings, other realms. Buddhism has pointed out the way how to see other realms as the practicing of our mind. Actually, if we try, one day we can achieve that ability, that kind of state. However, first of all, actually, we believe something with the confidence of Buddha's message. You know, we do a lot of activities in this world in confidence. For example, we believe our birthday. You can remember your birthday? We can remember our birthday. We believe, actually, after our parents said that this is your birthday, we also believe. We believe our parents. That is why we say that is our birthday. On the other hand, we believe our mother and father in confidence. We didn't check, we didn't search with DNA research experiment. We believe our parents in confidence. And also, if you go to a new place, first of all, you believe the address or GPS. That is why you drive. You go to the street. You have confidence. You have faith. But after you attain the place, after you went to that place, your confidence over. Then you have full confidence. It doesn't need to be faithful. But first of all, at the very beginning on any kind of activities, first of all, we should have some kind of confidence. For example, when we study in the classrooms, in a college or university, we mostly believe, we are faithful in lecturers' advice, their teachings. That is why we are in the college and universities. Especially when we practice some kind of doctrines in a religion, first of all, we should have some kind of faith. But Buddhism doesn't encourage to become blind faith. We should have critical understanding. When we believe something, when we practice something, first of all, we can criticize it. We can argue. One day Buddha explained, if you have some question about my enlightenment, you can ask. He has given the freedom to us to answer, question anything. That is the special thing in Buddhism. Okay. However, now we are going to explain 4 sublime states. Okay. Actually, all kind of doctrines that Buddhism has explained focus on how we achieve real happiness. This is the main purpose of every being in the world. Especially practicing some kind of doctrine or religion, the main purpose of happiness. Buddhism has explained, our happiness depends on how far we have purified our mind. Purification of mind depends on how far we have reduced defilements, negative emotions, such as desire, anger, delusion. On the other hand, reducing defilements depends on how far we are intelligent, how far we develop wisdom. Practicing wisdom, developing wisdom depends on 4 facts, 4 reasons. There are 4 things that we should practice for practicing wisdom. When we are going to develop our intelligence or wisdom, we should have another 4 things. I think you can remember when I say one thing, automatically you can remember other things. They are associating good friends, listening to what he says, wise reflection, and practice. Associating good friends means Kalyana Mitta Asraya. Having a good friends who explain the Buddha's real message. Sometimes it may be a living person. Sometimes it may be a CD. Sometimes it may be a website. Sometimes your close friend may be a book. It depends on what kind of materials that you can use. That is very important. When we are going to understand a person, when we are going to associate with a person, we should have some kind of intelligence. If we don't have that intelligence, it doesn't sound that first of all we should have very higher intelligence. No. At least a kind of intelligence we should have. That is why Buddha explained, Panya Vantasayan Dhammo, Nayan Dhammo Duppanyasa. This message is for the intelligent person, not for stupid person, mad persons. It doesn't sound that we should have degrees or master degrees. Sometimes we have no literacy, but we are intelligent. You know, there are some persons, they can't pass some exams, but their IQ is very high. Buddhism also has explained IQ. As I mentioned before, IQ means how far you can understand the impermanence. Your IQ depends on how far you can understand impermanence when somebody explains this message. Associating good friends is one of the qualities that we should have on the path of liberation when we are going to develop our wisdom. The second one is not only having a good friend, but we should be sensitive. We should have good attention. We should have an ability to understand what he says. We should open our ears. Suvacha, one of the good qualities on the path of liberation, Buddha has explained Suvacha. Suvacha means we should have good attention. It doesn't sound we are ready to practice whatever he says. We should not practice everything what he says, but first of all, we should have good attention, good awareness. It doesn't sound that we are obey to him. Obedience he doesn't need. It depends on what he says. On the other hand, according to what he says, we should have to reflect on it again and again in our day-to-day life. Not only in the Dhamma hall, not only in front of a sermon, but everywhere what we do, according to our knowledge, what we listening to, we have to reflect on it again and again. About 3 meritorious deeds, 3 disciplines, 4 noble truths, wise reflection. These things are very important. Again and again, we have to think it in our day-to-day life. On the other hand, the 4th one, practice. What should we practice? Practice 3 disciplines. Virtue, concentration, and wisdom. I explained an order. Our main purpose is happiness. If we want to achieve happiness, we should have to purify our mind. If we want to purify our mind, we have to reduce our defilements, anger, greed, delusion. If we want to reduce our defilements, we should be intelligent. We have to practice wisdom. If we want to practice wisdom, we should fulfill four reasons, 4 facts. Associating with good friend, listening to what he says, wise reflection, practice. This is the order, what Buddha said. As much as we can understand what Buddha explained, we are knowledgeable what we have to practice. We are more knowledgeable, it is more beneficial. That is why we listening again and again. Actually, Buddha explained, listening to what Buddha said is also one of the meditation techniques. Vimuttayatana, the door that we enter to the liberation. One of the doors is listening to what Buddha said. If we have full attention when somebody explains the Buddha's message, then it is also some kind of meditation technique. Because our mind doesn't go away. We have full awareness, full mindfulness with the Buddha's message. That is why sometimes some listeners, disciples, when they were listening to what Buddha said, they have achieved some kind of steps in spirituality. Not only listening, but sometimes when some monks were preaching, explaining what Buddha said, they also have attained some kind of enlightenment steps. Because the person who delivers the sermon, actually at that moment he is full awareness. He is full aware of what he says. That is why Buddha said, listening to what Buddha said also one of the door to attain enlightenment. And also preaching Dhamma also one of the door to attain Nibbana. That is a good example that we also have to practice. The attention, awareness, mindfulness is very important when we are listening to something. Okay, can you remember what I said before? The main purpose of our life is happiness. For the happiness, we have to purify our mind. When we are going to purify our mind, we have to reduce defilements, negative emotions. When we are going to reduce negative emotions, we should be intelligent. We have to practice wisdom. Then when we are going to practice, develop wisdom, we have to fulfill another 4 things: associating good friends, listening to what he says, wise reflection, practice. This is an order. Okay? When we discuss defilements means the negative emotions that disturb our peace of mind. Actually, if we have wrong views, then when we see something, when we hear something, if we are not mindful, then gradually, automatically, defilements arise in our mind. Therefore, in one side we should be knowledgeable, on the other hand, not only understanding, but we should be mindful. We should have mindfulness. Without knowledge, we cannot be mindful. Although we are knowledgeable, if we are not mindful, our knowledge is useless. Therefore, both of them are very important. Okay? Here, as I mentioned before, if we want to become real happiness, that we have to reduce defilements. According to Buddhism, all defilements can be included into three: anger or ill will, desire, big attachment, greed or craving. There are many synonyms. Craving, clinging, greed, desire, attachment, lustful desire. We can use many words in English. And also delusion or ignorance. These are the main roots of unwholesome deeds. Main roots. This is the foundation of all defilements that we have in our mind. Among these three things, Buddha has explained, desire or greed is difficult to reduce, difficult to overcome. But results are not huge. Dosa or anger it is easy to reduce, but results are very big, huge. How about delusion or ignorance? It is extremely difficult to overcome, and also results also very high. When we are going to reduce these defilements which disturb our peace of mind, first of all, we should be knowledgeable what kind of emotions now that I have in my mind. We should have full awareness, mindfulness. If we are knowledgeable, if we are mindful, then automatically the defilements go away. For example, when we are angry, when somebody says that, are you angry now? Then we get shy. Because we can understand our mind. Then actually, if we can understand our mind always, then we also correct ourselves, our mind. That is very important. It doesn't need to criticize by another person, but if you are knowledgeable, we can ourselves can criticize ourselves and we can correct by ourselves. That is the best way that Buddha explained. Day by day, moment to moment, we should go forward with the understanding of knowledge and also reducing defilements. We should go forward. And when we are going to reduce defilements, when we are going to reduce anger, we have to practice loving kindness. Loving kindness is one of the main doctrines that Buddha has explained on the path of purification, path of liberation. The reason is, we mostly suffer because of anger. If we are angry with somebody, then it goes everywhere in our life. If we are friendly with other people, then we do everything with pleasant mind. when we are angry, we do everything with unpleasant mind. On the other hand, if we have big attachment or desire or lustful desire, then we do everything with that defilement. If we are clever to reduce these defilements, anger and lustful desire, then we do everything with pure mind. But it doesn't sound that we are completely pure. There is another very big defilement that Buddha has explained, delusion or ignorance. You know, there were some ascetic people when Buddha appeared in the world who reduced their anger and desire. But they didn't understand the nature of delusion, the nature of ignorance. By practicing their mind, by practicing some meditation techniques, they could attain some kind of higher spiritual statement. But they didn't understand the nature of ignorance. After Buddha appeared in the world, he introduced the nature of ignorance. Then some of them understood, but some people didn't understand. Then that is the most important thing, you know. If we can understand delusion, automatically anger and desire go away. But at the very beginning it is difficult. But you know, if we can understand the impermanence, for example, we mostly suffer because of living in the past experience. Our past experience actually has ceased. But still when we think it, still we are living in the past experience. That is why we suffer. If we are clever to understand when, as soon as we think something, now I am reading my mind, it is not the real situation. We can remember anything, but our mind doesn't go to the past and our mind doesn't live in the past experience. That is the fault. That is the reason of suffering. As soon as we think something about our previous experience, if we are clever to understand, now I think, now I remember my past experience, now it has ceased, then, you know, we can remember anything without fear, without suffering, without anger. Anytime, if we are angry, or if we have lustful desire, be sure it means we live in the past or future. If we are clever to live at the moment with mindfulness, then, you know, anger and delusion have no space in our mind. When we are suffering, be sure that at that moment we have no mindfulness. That is why, according to Buddhism, you know, mindfulness is the best friend of our life. If we lost our mindfulness, it means we have lost our best friend. On the other hand, as I mentioned last week, if we are ignorant, if we live in the past without understanding, without mindfulness, we are living in the land of the Mara. Even though we are happy, even though we are participating for a party, even though we are celebrating somebody, living in the past, even though we are laughing, even though we are so happy, you know, we are in the land of the Mara. If we are full mindful about the impermanence, we can remember anything, past or future, it doesn't matter. As much as we remember something in past or future, if we are mindful, then we are go away from the land of the Mara, and also we live in the land of the Buddha. Day by day, we should increase, we should develop the duration that we live in the land of the Buddha, practicing mindfulness. Here, we are discussing about the 4 sublime states of mind. You know, Brahma, as I mentioned before, there are several realms in the world. Among them, Brahma realm is the higher realm. They don't use material things. They live with the power of their mind, spiritual mind. They don't need material food source and facilities. Because of their spiritual energy, strength, they live in higher realms. And actually the Brahmas, in Brahma realms, beings are living with these four things. These are their food. If we are clever to practice these things, bear in a human body, mentally we are like Brahma realms. We are like Brahmas.
But that's not enlightenment, is it?
Sorry?
That's not enlightenment.
This is not the enlightenment. This is the one of the state of enlightenment. This is not the highest level. This is not the destination. This is the some science that we can pass when we go on the path of liberation. When we start here, this is start and go by go, and this is the destination. In this, on the way, we can meet these things.
So what are they missing from Brahma to enlightenment? What do they miss? Because they're very close.
Yes, but the reason why they become enlightenment, because of no understanding of impermanence, dependent origination. Even though they have achieved some kind of steps of spirituality, they have delusion. They think before they were born, the world was here. After they die, the world remains. On the other hand, because of their age is very long, they think they are permanent. They don't believe the impermanence. They think everything is permanent. That is the ignorance that they have. But they have developed their mind with these four sublime states. Therefore, they are happy in the higher level. But they don't have achieved the final destination because of no understanding about the dependent origination or impermanence, or three characteristics: anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and egolessness. But if somebody has become this state, actually it is easy to achieve other things, other steps, when they listen to what Buddha said. That is why as soon as Buddha enlightened, Buddha searched first time to whom that I should explain this message. At that moment, he thought to explain this message his previous friends who had achieved some kind of these steps. But when he searched them, they had passed away. They are helpless. Then finally Buddha decided to explain this message to another 5 ascetic people like this. Okay, actually they didn't become these steps. They didn't, before Buddha explained the message, they haven't achieved these steps. This is very important, on the path of purification, practicing these things are very important. As much as we can practice, it is very useful for our day-to-day life. When we are going to live with happiness, this is very important. First thing is loving kindness. When we practice loving kindness, automatically most of defilements are going to reduce. When we have loving kindness, actually we can reduce our lustful desire. For example, when we think other people like our own children, our close relatives, we are ready to offer something. We are generous. By practicing loving kindness, the limit go away. What is the limit? This is my children, this is my house, this is my land. Actually, this barrier, limit gradually goes away as much as we practice loving kindness. Then, how we practice loving kindness? Here there are some words as we practice in the meditation session. May I be well, happy and peaceful. May I be free from suffering. Again and again we think these statements. Not only saying, but we think about this, page number 3. As much as we can practice and we can reflect on this understanding, then gradually our anger goes away. On the other hand, not only we wish to our life, but we wish others success. Getting an example to our life, getting example as our life, then we focus it other persons too. With a powerful understanding, powerful spiritual energy, we wish other people too. May my parents, may my relatives, may my friends, my enemies, all people be well, happy and peaceful. Again and again we think. Actually, first of all, we practice loving kindness meditation as a sitting meditation. But when we can control our mind, when we can train our mind, actually, anywhere, anytime, whatever we do, we can practice loving kindness. When we walk, when we drive, when we cook, when we do our exercises, whatever we do, if we have mindfulness, we can think about loving kindness, doing other things. When you drive, you think everything. When you cook, when you work, actually while you are working, you think everything in the world. But if we can apply this message to our thinking pattern, then while we are doing other things, we can meditate by practicing meditation, by practicing loving kindness. According to Buddhism, Metta Sutta, Karaniya Metta Sutta, Buddha says, on the path of purification, on the path of happiness, at the very beginning we have to practice loving kindness. If we don't practice loving kindness, it sounds that we are not on the path of liberation. The main thing that we should have our mental health, our inner peace. If a person who likes to achieve inner happiness, everybody should practice as much as they can. In various ways, we have some friends or some people who have disturbed us. But in various ways, if we can reflect on this nature, this reality, gradually we are able to reduce anger. For example, as Buddha's message, even though some people are away from us, actually in previous lives, most of people in the world, they were our close relatives and friends. When sometimes, now we have only this son or daughter, but next door, son or daughter, sometimes previous lives, they also were our children. This is the nature of the human life. This is the nature of our samsaric journey. If we can think it, we can reduce anger. On the other hand, if we can think about some problems with intelligence, for example, when although somebody has blamed us, now he doesn't do that wrong thing. Now he is okay, he is good person, now he has forgotten it, but still we are thinking it. Still we are living that experience. That person has blamed once, but because of our ignorance, as soon as we think it, we are blamed again and again by ourselves. That is why we should be intelligent. Buddha said, if you are intelligent, you may be blamed once, but you are ignorant, you are blamed again and again by your own view. That is why we have to reduce not only anger, but delusion or ignorance. As much as we can practice loving kindness, according to Karaniya Metta Sutta, the discourse of Metta, Buddha says, as soon as we meet a person who are around us, we are ready to think about that person as our only son or daughter. If we have this point of view, if we have this vision, actually we can reduce 50% anger, 50% suffering in our life. We mostly suffer because of anger. That is why all psychiatrists have recommended that we have to practice to reduce our stress management is loving kindness.
But what if in that case that someone blamed you or someone did something wrong to you? Okay, you forgive. But then next time you see that person keeps repeating the same behavior. You forgive, but then again and again, that person is always doing something wrong to you. And you try to forgive, but...
Yes, it doesn't sound that we do something, illegally. Some persons have hit your vehicle, you have to claim it. In publicly, we have to do it. We have to live in this society, in this world. It is the conventional truth, but when we are going to an ultimate truth, mentally we are ready to forgive. It doesn't sound that, even sometimes you may be a judge. When you are in the chair of judge, what do? You are ready to forgive the person who has killed the person? No, you can't do it. You give the decision. But mentally, you have given the forgiveness. But physically, sometimes we can do it. That is why Buddha has explained, security, police, army, this is the righteous doctrine. It is not the wrong doctrine. When a sin is going to rule a country, actually this civil society, when civil society is going to live with peaceful, police is needed. It is a necessary thing. Forgiveness, we always forgive mentally, but materially, physically, sometimes we can do it. Okay? Then, loving kindness. As much as we practice loving kindness, we don't stop in loving kindness, we go forward. And Buddhism always says forgive, but not forget. If you forget, it is a big mistake. Buddhism never says you have to forget. When we practice mindfulness, gradually our memory goes up. Yes, everything you should remember, but you should ready to forgive, not forget. Forgiveness is a good quality, but forgetting is a wrong thing. If we are mindful, if we have loving kindness, then we don't stop in mindful and loving kindness, we go forward. Then metta is in Pali language, and karuna means compassion. We are ready to help others. If somebody needs something, we are ready to help them. According to Buddhism, the highest way that we can help others is giving Dhamma to them. If we offer something as food to somebody, it is useful only 1 or 2 days. If you offer some clothes, it is useful 1 or 2 years. If you give a job to somebody, it is useful for 40 or 50 years. If you give a shelter, house to somebody, it is useful for his entire life, in this life. But if we offer something as Dhamma to somebody, it is useful his entire samsaric journey. That is the highest compassion that we can practice. That is why Buddha says, Sabbadana Dhammadana Jinati. Giving Dhamma itself, all gifts. Giving Dhamma is the best donation that we can practice.
But we don't remember, right? For example, I don't know if in previous life I practiced Dhamma. But when I was born, I was raised Christian. So I just learned Dhamma like a few months ago, maybe not even a year. So do we have that capacity of remembering like Dhamma from previous life?
Actually, in this level, we don't have that experience. As I mentioned before, at the very beginning, we have to understand something in faith. But Buddha says, if you don't believe your past or future, it doesn't matter. But all of us believe this birth. All of us like to live with happiness. For the happiness, we should have purification in our mind. That is why Buddha has explained this message. When we practice these things, the beneficial is not hereafter. The beneficial can be seen in this life. There are some results after we practice loving kindness. There are 11 results, fruitful results. Except one, all things can be seen in this short life itself. And when we practice loving kindness, we don't stop in loving kindness. We go forward. We are ready to help others, somebody who is needy. Then, offering something as food or clothes, it is the common thing that everybody does. But the special thing according to Buddhism, if somebody before die, if we can give some Dhamma or if we can do some activities with him as medicine, that is the good thing, that is the good way how we help them. Especially for our parents, before they die, we have a big responsibility to develop their mind. That is the good way how we take care of our parents, not only giving medicine and food. If we can develop their mind with pure mind, with medicine, that is the good way how we help our parents. That is the karuna, compassion. When somebody is suffering, we are ready to help them. Especially, we should take care of our parents. As you do, actually that is the highest compassion that we can pay. And also, sympathetic joy, it means if we have loving kindness, we have no jealousy. We are not jealous. When somebody is successful, we are happy as our success. When you have a good job, I am happy that like I have a job. This is the way that we practice mudita. As the result, when our parents, when we are successful, our parents are never jealous. They are so happy that we are. In our success, in our progress, they are so happy. Sometimes they are more happier than we are. By practicing loving kindness, we are also like that. Other people are successful, we are ready to be happy. On the other hand, equanimity, this is also very important quality. That equanimity means we have a balanced mind among good and bad. Upekha means we are middle between good and bad. Honor and unhonor, dishonor. Happiness and sorrow. Gain and loss. The honor and dishonor. And these are the things that Buddha has explained, Attaloka Dhamma. 8 worldly situations. Actually, among these 8 things, we are in the middle. We don't go to the extremes. People who are in the society, when they have good things, they have a lot of gain, they have a lot of facilities, they are so happy. When they are lost, they are so sad. When other people appreciate him, they are happy. When other people blame, they worry. Then other people honor him, he happy, but other people dishonor him, he doesn't like it. In the quality of equanimity, we are middle among good and bad, happiness and sorrow. We have good understanding because everything is impermanent. As a disciple of the Buddha, we practice everything with the knowledge of dependent origination. You know, in Buddha's, when Buddha was living, one day some monk went to other religious people ascetic place, monastery. At that moment, that other religious ascetic people asked, Bhante, your master, the Lord Buddha, explained loving kindness. We have also explained loving kindness. Both of us are same. At that moment, monk had no answer. They were silent and they came back to Buddha and they explained what he said. At that moment, Buddha said, well, it is not same. When we practice loving kindness, it is not the final destination on the path of liberation. We practice loving kindness concerning that deliverance, final destination, seen impermanence. That is why, you know, at end of the loving kindness meditation, we also mention impermanence. Actually, everything that we do in the name of Buddhism, seen impermanence, seen dependent origination, ceasing and arising of our mind and body. Because we do everything thinking about the final destination, the bliss of Nibbana. That is why for sublime statements of mind, you know, when we practice metta, loving kindness, we have karuna, compassion, mudita, sympathetic joy, and also we have equanimity, we have balanced mind. You know, especially our parents, when their children go away, actually they have trained their mind. Every day we can keep my children near me. Sometimes they also have to go away. That is one of the equanimities. Especially, you know, when we think the karmic law, we can control something in the world. Even though somebody is our close friend, sometimes he has to get some result of his previous actions. Sometimes we reduce those results of previous actions by doing good deeds. You know, sometimes we can control them. When we think this world reality, we become the equanimity. Because of our balanced mind, we are ready to bear, be patient to this situation. We are patient. We practice patience because of equanimity. But even Buddha couldn't control some things, you know, as I mentioned before, the prince Vidodaba, he came to kill Buddha's relatives. 3 times Buddha tried to control it, but Buddha didn't do it. Finally, Buddha understood, these people have done some bad things in their previous lives. That is why now they are going to get the results. Even Buddha couldn't control it. Then he is in equanimity.
But it is different from equanimity, is different from indifference, right? Being indifferent, because you're not indifferent, just, well, whatever happened, I don't care.
Actually, it is different. We try to control something. First of all, we try. But finally, with the knowledge of impermanence and karmic law, we are in equanimity. You know, first time, again and again, we try to, if we have some problem, we try to control it in righteous way. We don't go away from the Dhamma, from the righteous way. Always, even though we have problems, we try to solve those problems in righteous way, correct way. But finally, if we think, if we understand I can do it, we don't get upset. අපි හිත හදා ගන්නවා කියලා කොහොමද කියන්නේ?
We try to gain that knowledge from our mind and understand that, to
finally
fix our mind to that path.
Finally, we fix our mind with the situation.
You understand it, so you're okay with it.
For example, when your children try to get through some exam again and again, 3 times, 4 times, he tries, your son or daughter. You also help. He also has courage. He also has courage, but finally we understand he can do it. Then we try to put him in another way. Some technical things or some other things, we try to keep him another way. Then we don't try to keep our all children as doctors or engineers. We can do it. Sometimes we can control something. Here, actually, in this way, in equanimity, we try to balance our mind. We try to keep our mind in balance when we face some problems. But it doesn't sound that we are lazy. We don't see while other things were working. But again and again we try to do something, but always because of our understanding of the Dhamma, we do all things to control these things in righteous way. We don't do anything to control them in wrong way. Because of right understanding, Samma Ditti, we do everything in the righteous way. Okay, Buddha says, as the practicing of loving kindness, we have 11 results. That he who practices loving kindness sleeps comfortably, Sukhang Supati. And also he who practices loving kindness wakes up comfortably, page number 3. He who practices loving kindness doesn't see evil dreams. Napapakang supinam pasati. And he is dear to and beloved by human beings. Manusanam priyo hoti. And also he is just as dear to non-human beings. Amanusanam priyo hoti. Deities guard him as a mother guards her only child, only son. Devata Rakkanti. Fire, poison and weapons don't affect him. Nasta agdiva visangva sattangva kamati. Mind is easily concentrated. Actually, if you always practice loving kindness, it is very easy to practice our mind in other meditation techniques. You know, sometimes some people can directly go to the breathing meditation. As the primary technique, we use loving kindness meditation. There are 4 meditation techniques before we are going to practice breathing meditation. The contemplation of Buddha's qualities, Buddhanusati, loving kindness, Metta-nusati, Metta Bhavana, and the contemplation of impurity, Asubha Bhavana, and the contemplation of death, Marananusati. These are the primary meditation techniques that we practice before we are going to practice breathing meditation.
How do you contemplate that in the meditation? The 4th one. How do you do it?
Contemplation of death?
Yeah, the 4th one.
4th one, death meditation.
Yeah.
Yes, actually we think again and again, one day I die. It sounds that we don't get afraid, and we develop our understanding. As much as we think about our death, our fear goes away about death, and also our courage gradually increases. Before dying, I try to get the result. I try to get the result from the message what Buddha said.
It's our own death.
Yes, in our own life. And also, if we have practiced the contemplation of death, when our close friends or relatives die, we don't get suffer. The result, because firstly, we have reflect on the death. Many people in the world, when their close relatives die, what they say? I never think that my friend, my mom, my son dies. They have never thought. How about us? We have reflected on 1,000 times death. It doesn't sound that we are lazy or we are kind, we are suffering. As much as we have this understanding, it is not only the thinking but reflecting on death. It means any time I can become the death. I think in various ways about death. And also, as much as we have developed the contemplation of death, then our courage gradually grows up. We try to get the results without delay. On the other hand, we are ready to help our close relatives, especially our parents, before they die. We try to develop their mind. We know very well, compulsory one day we will become this situation, whether we think or not, whether we like or not. This is the definite thing that we have to face one day. If we have think about this thing before death, it is very easy to practice this message, and also our mind can be trained by reflecting on death. That is one of the techniques that we can use when we are going to train our mind. And also impurity means that our physical body. Now, we always think that our body has purity. But when we think about some parts of our body, then we can overcome our lustful desire. We can overcome the big attachment to the physical body. And when we go to the restroom, some things go away. Then it is not pure, it is impurity. When we can understand this reality, we are ready to overcome the big attachment to the physical body. We mostly have attachment with the physical bodies. Then with the understanding of this knowledge, with the practicing of these meditation techniques, we can overcome our defilements little by little. Then the next one, he who practices loving kindness appears to be calm and attractive. He dies unconfused. Asamolho kalankaroti. He dies unconfused. When he dies, he becomes the death with consciousness, mindfully. There are some monks who have practiced meditation. I have met some monks, when they died at the age of 95, before they die, they have given everything to other monks. And also before 1.5 hours, they have talked to their students and disciples, and don't worry, don't bring me to hospital, give me chance to die here. They go to the bed and I have seen some persons at the age of 94. This is the result of practicing training our mind, especially by practicing loving kindness. Actually, we can achieve some kind of result in this life, not hereafter. Actually, according to Buddhism, this message is visible result, immediately effective. We can say, anybody come and see. This is the nature of the message what Buddha said. And also, if he didn't gain enlightenment in this life, when he falls from this life, he reappears in the Brahma realm. This is the highest result, As the practicing of these four sublime states of mind in the higher level as jhana, after he dies, he will appear in the higher realm. Only that result is hereafter. Other all 10 results can be seen in this short life itself as much as we can practice it in our life. We should not practice these four things, Whatever we practice in the name of meditation, we do everything with the knowledge of impermanence. Finally, by practicing, by contemplating, after concentrate our mind, finally we put everything into the impermanence. We reflect on impermanence. When we think something as our previous experience, suddenly we should be clever to understand, now I think, now I read my mind. When we see something, we should be knowledgeable. I see this experience, I have this experience at the moment. It doesn't come to the present from the past. It doesn't go to the future from the present. Every moment, every experience arises and ceases at the moment as its reasons. Then again and again, when we practice meditation, in one side, our mindfulness should be increased. On the other hand, our wisdom gradually should be developed. Mindfulness and wisdom, the knowledge of impermanence. Mindfulness is like our GPA. The knowledge of impermanence is like our IQ. If our mindfulness is very high, if our duration that we live with mindfulness is very long, it means our GPA our grade point average is very high. What is the contemplation? What is the awareness? What is the mindfulness? The contemplation of mind and body and mind. What happens to my body? What happens to my mind? Every moment we are knowledgeable, we are mindful. When somebody says something, we know very well this sound arises this moment. This sound doesn't belong to you. When you say something from your mouth, this sound doesn't belong to your mouth. But always we try to bind this sound to you from where that comes. When we do this sound doesn't belong to fingers or my ears. Without these fingers, sound doesn't start. But this sound doesn't belong to these fingers. This sound doesn't belong to my ears. When somebody says something, it is also same. When you say something, because of you it arises, but this sound doesn't belong to you or your mouth. But because of ignorance, when we see something, when we hear something, we always try to bind it to other physical things. That is the nature of ignorance. That is the cause of suffering. If we can separate them with intelligence, then we can get any experience, but we have no defilements. We can overcome delusion. As much as we can overcome delusion, gradually our lustful desire and anger go away. Okay, now today we are going to end our sermon. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Just one on number 7 on the 11 benefits.
Yes. Number 7.
Yeah, the fire and the poison. So If you put your hand in your fire, you're not gonna get burned, or?
Actually, this result comes in the level of higher spirit in the jhana, not the surface level. If we can train our mind in the maximum level with loving kindness, it has a lot of steps. In the highest steps, then nobody can disturb not only our mind but our physical body too. The special thing, by practicing loving kindness, our inner peace gradually increases. This is our main purpose of our life. As soon as we meet a person, if we have an ability to understand, think, or point of view that person as my only son or daughter, actually it is one of our higher personal quality. As much as we develop our mind, our personality gradually grows up. Our personality depends on how far we are clever to face day-to-day life when we have experience through our senses without attachment and detachment. That is the nature of the highest personality. Some psychologists or some psychiatrists, they explain some personality qualities according to our appearance, according to our activities. But according to Buddhism, our personality completely depends on how far our mind is very strong when we receive unpleasant objects from outside, unpleasant experiences. If nobody can disturb our peace of mind, if nothing can disturb our peace of mind, that's the highest quality of our personality. That is the real freedom. That is the real liberation. Now we depend on outside. When everything is very clean, we are so happy. When somebody breaks these things and dirt unclean here, we get upset. We get upset. But even though we should be happy, we should be happy not only in this pleasant environment, in a very complex situation. If we can live without fear and detachment or lustful desire, that is our real proficiency, skillfulness. Then Buddhism always encourages us how we achieve this situation. By practicing these teachings, day by day, we should try to go forward this higher personality. When we train our mind, gradually we have freedom, we have liberation. Our liberation depends on that, how far other people can disturb our peace of mind, inner peace. Other persons or things can disturb our peace of mind. It means that our personality is not high. We have no strong personality. Even though we are very poor, it doesn't matter. The thing is, we should be rich in our spirituality. That is the thing Buddha always explains us to increase, develop, as much as we can do it. Okay, thank you so much for your participation for this class. And today we discussed about the 4 sublime states of mind. This is the Brahma Vihara. If we are if we are clever to live with these 4 states of mind in always, then it means we are like Brahman. Without going to Brahma realm, living in the human realm, bearing a human body, we can live as Brahmas. Mentally we are in the Brahma realm, physically we are in the human realm. Then when we sleep, when we are alone in the room, actually we live mentally. Even though we are sleeping on a very luxurious, valuable bed, if we are angry, actually everything is useless. Even though we have a lot of facilities, we are rich in mentally, then we are so happy. That is why always we try to train our mind, and always we try to develop our mind with good emotions, and we should try to reduce negative emotions. As much as we can practice loving kindness, it means other qualities gradually come to our life. And also we meet a lot of good friends in the world. Finally, we meet the real doctrines that Buddha explained, as much as we are mindful with loving kindness. Okay, thank you again for all of you. And now we accumulated a lot of merit by listening to what Buddha said. Especially we discussed 4 sublime states of mind: loving kindness, metta, compassion, karuna, sympathetic joy, mudita, equanimity, upekkha. As much as we can let's try to practice these things in our life for our inner happiness. By the power of all these merits, may our departed relatives also receive these merits. By receiving these merits, may they achieve good life. Finally, may they also attain final bliss of liberation. With that intention, let's transfer these merits to our departed relatives. Idam me ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. Idam me ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. Idam me ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. By the power of all these merits that now we accumulated, our other beings, especially guardian deities and angels, divine persons also receive these merits. By receiving these merits, may they keep their eye on you too. May they also attain final bliss of liberation. With that intention, let's transfer these merits, deities and angels too. Ākāsattā ca bummattā devānāgā mahiddhikā puññantaṃ anumoditvā chiraṃ rakkhantu sāsanam. Ākāsattā ca bummattā devānāgā mahiddhikā puññantaṃ anumoditvā chiraṃ rakkhantu desanam. Ākāsattā ca bummattā devānāgā mahiddhikā puññantaṃ anumoditvā chiraṃ rakkhantu tvaṃ sadā. By the power of all these merits, may you be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to you. May no problems come to you. May your all righteous wishes meet with success. May all of us attain final bliss of liberation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dukkham pantāca niddukkha, bhayam pantāca nidbhayam, sokam pantāca nissokā, antu sambhe pipānino. Dukin telena sat, dukin medetvā, bien telena sat, bien neti vetvā. Sovin te vena sat, somnas vetvā, nitin meham sat, suepat vetvā. May the triple gem bless you.